Ladies and gentlemen, good to have you guys again on the show today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. They call me the slimmest of them all. And like you all know, yes, now Legal Matta, and there we can put today. Of course, where we talk about everything we guys do with the law. And yes, today we are talking about legal side of crisis management. We've been start off 2 weeks ago, before all of the things we've been sharing last week. Couldn't meet last week, yes, because of the lockdown. Let me say lockdown, because of the curfew. But today we are intending to continue from where we've been stopped. And you already hear Barista's voice. So now I'm going to take you guys on that journey. Barista.
Yeah. Now well done. I mean, we are talking about politics here. That say, that one just enter. That this one, that's why we're talking about crisis management. That what we are talking today is legal side of crisis management. What we have been experiencing so far has to do with a lot of destruction, politics, undertone, APC, PDP, ROPP, all those kind of things. But the fallout has been that many who do not understand it are becoming directly or indirectly victims. I was just telling them that this is more or less, it started like a joke. Started like something that pointed for the purpose of the nation, but has become more political than any other thing. We have seen the circle. We have seen it repeated over and over, and it has been like that for ages. 1959, 1963, 1966, 1979, 1983, all of that. But over time, we just see that many people come back and have management crisis on their lap. So we want to talk about the legal dimension of that. The legal, how do you handle those legal things? I'm not a politician, but I'm a political historian, and I've seen the trend, and that's why I was telling them that, look, let's face it, things are happening beyond what we think. Now, the issue is that when these things happen, you see video clips of shops that were destroyed, houses that were destroyed, looting, killing that happened. You saw even sometimes at Ikire, that one person was trying to use what was happening to try to dislodge an incumbent king and things like that. So you have a lot of things going on. Now, you as somebody who is watching this program, how do you take the cognizance of the legal aspect of it? So I'll just give you 1 or 2 or 3 points that you're going to take note of. Number one, you see, for everything you do, always think of the legal aspect of it. And that's why you cannot afford to take things for chances. When you want to enter businesses, don't always assume that that business relationship will go without any interruptions at some point in time. Imagine those who took loans and took things and did not factor that there can be act of God, civil unrest like this. How do you pay back the loan? And that's why whenever you are doing transactions, always involve your lawyers in a way that they can think robustly with you. This is your projections. These are your projections. But what if? Because in law, it's a given that anybody that is going to draft a document for you must look at the possibility of what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? So always put in place the legal dimension. Like, look, let me look at it. How would this thing pan out in case there's any disruption? Some of us say, it's not possible. I cannot think about it. You should think about it. That's number one. Number two, that I need to explain to you that never, ever, and I want to mark that now, never, ever put yourself in a position where when things go wrong, you are unable to extricate yourself. Never put yourself in that position. That's why when you make blatant and what I call commitments that are ironclad. I mean, you cannot, if it escape them. Maybe because of pressure. I give an example. You are owing somebody and they say, give us a blank check. Just sign a blank check. Or, give us a posited check. A posited check. Now, irrespective of the crisis that has happened now, the person you gave a post-dated check to will have the legal right to go and present that check. It becomes a sentiment to say that, but there was crisis last week, there was crisis 2 weeks ago. No, you gave the person a post-dated check. The check matured today or matured on Monday. It is not the person's business to be helping you to think about the crisis. If it does, it's a sentimental issue. It's taking liking you.
Are not involved. Emotions are not involved.
But technically speaking, he can go and put that check in, and he himself even knowing fully that you are not even going to have that money. But to make a point that you are a criminal, given a blank check. So never ever put yourself in a position where you are going to be unable to extricate yourself. That is part of legal side of crisis management. Number 3, I want to say is that now, for relationship's sake, now, it's very possible that just like we said of that person that gave a check and I got the check, and you could say, because this is my friend. I remember I was in the office of 2 bank MDs sometimes ago, and during the times of financial banking, these small banks and what have you. 2 banks, small bank MD. One came in while I was with my client, who was another bank MD, and the other one that came in was flat on the ground, begging the other person, please don't put in this check. And they kind of know themselves. They know themselves very well. And my own MD client was saying, I will put that. He was calling name. I will put them just for purpose of discussion. Demola, I'll put that check today. And Demola was on the floor, lying down and said, please don't put the check. Now, what I'm trying to say with the top point is that you, when it comes to these things, you that are trying to be emotional or trying to be, let's say you're trying to be helpful to that person, be also mindful that there could be compromises, and those compromises can also hurt you ultimately. Be very mindful. So when you are even going to indulge those people that, okay, because the person cannot get money to pay now and what have you, when you're going to indulge, just indulge not by way of just waiver, sentimental waiver. Indulge by way of even legal steps. Indulge by way of legal steps. And that's why I'm saying that you should be very careful at this point in time about. So I've mentioned 3 things. Now the 4th thing I want to mention is that no matter what, don't be too let's call it the English word for it. Don't be too emotional to follow the crowd without knowing why you are following them. Don't be too emotional. Whenever I talk, the time when I remember when the time of, let's just a bit of point, when the last administration of Jonathan was there and there are things was going on, and I told my wife, I said, this is not civil society again. This is APC trying to undo this government. It's not civil. I said, so anybody that is joining, be very careful. Now, I said, be very careful about this kind of thing so that you don't become emotional. You can't become.
Sir, can we do without talking about all of this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that let's just maintain where we are, talking about the legal side of crisis management.
So those of us who listen to us, so we are not political. We're just using the political issues and we're just trying to discuss issues and trying to make the point that about these things. So it's not a matter of politics at all, I beg. Now, so I just said, make you not follow free, make you not follow the crowd. Please, that's another advice. Now, to go to the management of the crisis itself. Once you don't enter crisis, when you don't enter like this, for instance, as they destroy all the shops where you see that time, the best thing we say first and foremost, report what thing don't happen. You need to allow the police to have an official record of it. When you don't,
even if it's not insured,
and the insurance is separate. Insurance is not contractual.
So why do you have to carry them along?
For instance, let's assume that they find what belongs to you later.
Oh.
You cannot claim if you have not.
Okay, you've not made a report
before.
Okay.
So the first thing is you have to try and make a report of it officially, and if possible, take photographs of the thing, do whatever you can do, so that there can be evidence of what has happened. Number two, don't point accusing fingers except you're sure of what you're doing. Don't say Kamaru, you're the one that stole it, except you have a firm basis, evidence to show it was Kamaru. If you are not sure, this is not the time to be directing accusations. You can even enter more trouble without legally speaking.
Accuse the wrong person.
Yes, and they can sue you for defamation and a lot of things. And sometimes because of that accusation, it can lead to endangering of that other person's life. And that endangering can mean that you are an accessory to a crime of battery or assault or even possible manslaughter because of what you said. So you have to be very careful about accusation. Number three, for crisis management, is that you also undertake, if it's a possibility, an assessment, independent assessment, so that people will not just be saying, I've lost 1 billion. If it's possible, undertake an independent assessment. When you undertake that independent assessment, it will enable you to be able to say objectively, this is how much I've lost. And then that can even be used, for instance, federal government or even Lagos State, they are saying now that they want to
you also have to,
so you have to get independent assessment. And that's why
there's a form they told them to fill.
Yes. But that's why if your own record has not been right, your own recording and everything has not been right, it might be a challenging thing. Now, number four, think again about insurance. Insurance, you need to also start thinking about insurance contracts. When you engage in insurance, it helps you a lot. The money you are paying, some of us think that the money is like they are cheats. They don't give you back your money. You are paying against such possibility as what has happened this year. You are not, if it doesn't happen, good enough. The money that you have paid is gone. Agreed, it's gone forever. Because it's a matter of premium annual renewal. And so your prayer is that it doesn't happen, but in case it happens, there is somewhat a place that you can get fund to help you. And that's why many people, when you are doing insurance, the best thing is that don't just enter insurance because an insurance agent is harassing you to get insurance. Enter insurance with active participation or understanding of what you are doing. Read it or get someone to read to you or get a lawyer to help you read the contract so that you can know what you are entering. That will help you a lot. Because
I was telling Mama Monica on Monday, I said now insurance, they have a lot to do,
do.
As regards to what just happened, because I think the bulk of the load, especially for those that are actually insured, their goods. You know, the bulk of the load now is on the insurance because obviously they will have to meet up their needs and all of that. So they will be paying out so much right now. But then I was like, okay, it's another thing for you to. I think now it's a question of what did you insure?
Exactly. They'll be very.
Now, all of those questions that you don't get to hear on a regular now, they will ask you, okay, you didn't insure the property, you insured the building, or you didn't insure the things inside the content.
I mean, it's that's why everyone has to be very careful about, because you see, we're talking about crisis management, and even you have to understand that all the basic you have, all the loans, all the indebtedness, some of them will pile up now, and so you got, because like you need to sit down with your debtor or your creditors to tell them, okay, this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do, because really, right now, nobody can kill anybody, but it's just that you have to be sensitive to the fact that you are obligated to them. You have to pay the loan, because I mean, I can imagine someone that says, I'm going to pay you next week, and they're going to destroy all the person's shops. Where will you get the money from? So these are all the things that come into play to say that when it comes to crisis management, don't be arrogant.
Don't be arrogant.
Michael.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Well, thank God, and how are you doing too?
Very well. Thank you very much for calling. Please go on.
Yeah, I want to. Good morning, my sister and my brother. How are you doing this morning?
Okay, help me turn down your volume.
Yeah, the legal crisis management you're talking about, is it in respect of the outcome of this crisis in the country?
No,
it's really
is it as a result of the crisis here in the country, or
no, Michael, we're talking on a personal level. Michael, we're talking on a personal level, because you see, some time ago I talked about the legal side of group action. What has happened is, you can call it a general thing, but it's going to have individual impact.
Yeah,
it's going to have individual impact. So you have. You can say they destroy a lot of things in your area, but somebody's going to be affected personally. So we're not talking about community crisis management. We're talking about individual crisis management. What has happened has happened. Nobody could have, envisaged it, or probably. But it has come. It has happened. Whatever it's behind it, howsoever it's behind it, we just have to understand that this would enable us to discover ourselves again. But I'm talking about individual people. Let's say, Michael, you are owing people and you're supposed to pay them this week, and with all this that has happened, and you have a legal paper that says that you must pay this week. What do you do? So at this point in time, it's not the time when you're going to say, but it was because of the crisis, whatever. No, what in law they call one is it's a doctrine of frustration. And there's as a force majeure. There's two things: force majeure and doctrine of frustration. Frustration, you can plead it ordinarily, but you have to prove so many things. Force majeure must be in your contract. There must be that force majeure that there's a. So ordinarily, you can say, okay, this contract has been frustrated. But if somebody say, look, I'm not going to go by that. I'm not going to go by that. You have to pay me my money. How do you do it? Then, at this point in time of crisis management, it's also when, in addition, you have to watch what you say and what you do. Really, everybody should watch what you say and what you do. Because you cannot be seen not to be, let's call it, you cannot be blabbing without being justified in your blabbing. That's why opinions have to be checkmate. Have to be weighed very well when you are giving opinions and things like that, because you can say the one that will, Timothy has been telling me, look, this is not political station. We are not for political. But you see, I have opinion about what is going based on my knowledge of things. She has opinion about, but you see, there are situations where you have to make sure that you are not using the opinion to heat up the polity in a way that we can even be attributed to you. Because if things go wrong and, eventually, ideally speaking, we all should be very careful about the utterances that come out of our mouth, because it can set a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
I think part of the things that actually contributed to all of this now the fake news. There were so many fake stories, so many unconfirmed reports.
In fact, that's exactly because and people don't know that these things are traceable. You don't know because it's just a matter of any post can be traced to the source.
Yeah.
It's very easy. Those who can do it, they know how to trace. No matter how many forwarded times, how many times I've been forwarded, it can be traced to the post. Somebody sent to me the other day and said that I should watch and that this is about this kind of thing that this has happened. And so I told the person, I said, this video that was sent to me, listen to the voice of people that are talking and listen and watch and look at the caption that was written. The caption is not the same thing as what this who is speaking are saying. So I said, on that basis, be careful so that you are not going to be carried or arrested or held responsible for what you don't even know just because you are pushing things. So crisis management means that you also are guarded, you are careful, you are saying, I don't want to be used as a victim. Crisis management also means that you are when they say let's like curfew now, please maintain the curfew. Stay. Don't go and defy. Stay within the ambit of the law. That will enable you to be able to do a lot of things than when you are arrested and you are also curtailed from being able to engage in your profitable exercise of your rights and things like that. So please, in this time, legal side means that because you still need obligations that are going to be met. You have a lot of things to do. So honestly, I always say to you that do it in a way that your rights is preserved, your freedom is also preserved. You are not putting yourself in a straitjacket. You are not putting yourself into something that you cannot escape yourself from. So it's on that note, I'm going to ask you that please, it's a turbulent time. I wonder how we're going to cope or how we're coping.
Nigerians, we are strong people.
6 months of
I think it's been back to back, but
COVID,
there was
or 5 months of
there
COVID.
is still COVID and
then suddenly
this again.
crisis.
It is well. We hope to come out.
Please don't join them in looting.
Be careful of what informations you pass out.
Don't join them and don't buy looted goods. I need to say that. Don't join don't buy, because if you buy and it's found with you, you are as well guilty of that crime.
Of that act.
Please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Remember, the Breakfast Show continues again tomorrow from 7 to 8 with Chief and myself.
We'll continue another note.
Yes, and obviously Barrister will be here again next week on Wednesday. We love you guys. Have for yourself a fabulous day. Bye.